A quiet morning in Sarajevo. Then a gunshot. One life taken. Millions to follow. What seemed like a local assassination spiraled into a global nightmare. Alliances shattered, empires fell, and the world plunged into a war unlike anything it had ever known. Introduction: World War I, also known as the Great War, erupted in 1914 and ended in 1980, reshaping borders, empires, and ideologies across the globe. At its core, the war was a deadly web of nationalism, militarism, imperial rivalries, and entangled alliances. The spark assassination in Sarajevo on June 28, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary and his wife were assassinated in Sarajevo by Gavrilo Princip, a Bosnian Serb nationalist affiliated with the group Black Hand. This act triggered a domino effect of ultimatums and mobilizations. Austria-Hungary, with backing from Germany, declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized to defend Serbia. Germany declared war on Russia, then on France. When German troops violated Belgium's neutrality, Britain entered the war. The world joins in. The Allied versus Central powers. Two main alliances formed. Allied powers: France, Russia, Britain, Serbia, Belgium, Japan, and later Italy and the United States. Central powers: Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. This was not just a European war. Colonial troops from Africa, India, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand were brought in, making this a truly global conflict. Trench warfare in the Western Front. By late 1914, the Western Front, stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland, had turned into a vast network of trenches. Soldiers faced barbed wire, mud, rats, and constant shelling. Trench warfare led to stalemates, with neither side gaining much ground, despite massive offensives. Battles like the Somme, Verdun, and Ypres became symbols of feudal slaughter, with millions dying for just a few miles of territory. Technology and horror. WWI was the first modern war, where industrial technology met old tactics. Machine guns and artillery caused devastating casualties. Poison gas introduced a new kind of horror. Tanks were developed to break through trenches. Airplanes were used for reconnaissance, bombing, and dogfights. Submarines terrorized Allied shipping. This deadly mix resulted in over 16 million deaths and 21 million wounded. The Eastern and other fronts. On the Eastern Front, fighting between Germany and Russia was more mobile. Russia suffered massive losses and internal strife. In 1917, the Russian Revolution led to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II. The Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power and signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany in 1918. Ending Russian involvement in the Middle East. T.E. Lawrence supported Arab revolts against the Ottoman Empire. Allied forces eventually dismantled the Ottoman hold on the region. The home fronts in Total War. WWI was a total war, meaning entire societies were mobilized. Governments took control of economies. Women filled roles in factories and offices. Propaganda was widespread to boost morale and demonize the enemy. Food rationing and war bonds became common. The war reshaped gender roles, economies, and class structures. America enters the war. The United States tried to remain neutral, but several factors shifted public opinion. German U-boat attacks on civilian ships. The Zimmermann telegram, in which Germany promised Mexico territory in return for joining the war against the U.S. Economic ties and cultural sympathies with the Allies. In April 1917, President Woodrow Wilson declared war on Germany, framing it as a fight to make the world safe for democracy. U.S. troops arrived in bringing fresh manpower that turned the tide. The end game, 1918, and the armistice. By mid-1918, Germany launched a final desperate offensive on the Western Front. But exhausted, outnumbered, and facing uprisings at home, the Central Powers crumbled. Bulgaria surrendered in September. The Ottoman Empire followed in October. Austria-Hungary broke apart in November. Facing revolution and internal collapse, Germany signed an armistice on November 11th, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The Treaty of Versailles and its consequences. The post-war peace was formalized in the Treaty of Versailles. It imposed harsh terms on Germany: loss of territory, military restrictions, massive reparations, payments. The infamous war guilt clause, blaming Germany for the war. Germany saw the treaty as a national humiliation. Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire were dismantled, giving rise to new nations like Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and modern Turkey. The League of Nations was created to maintain peace, though it lacked real power, especially since the U.S. Senate refused to join. Legacy of the Great War. World War I left a deep scar on humanity. Empires fell: Russian, Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian, and German. 20 million lives were lost, and countless others were traumatized. Modern warfare had changed forever, introducing industrial-scale killing. The political map of Europe and the Middle East was redrawn. Social revolutions and independence movements surged worldwide. Seeds of World War II were sown in the dissatisfaction, instability, and resentment that followed. Artists, poets, and writers, like Wilfred Owen, Erich Mayer, remarked, and Siegfried Sassoon captured the disillusionment of a generation shattered by war. Conclusion: World War I was not just a conflict of nations, it was a catastrophe of civilization. It shattered the illusion of progress and left an entire generation grieving. Though intended to be the war to end all wars, it became the prelude to even greater devastation in World War II. Its legacy is a somber reminder of the costs of unchecked nationalism, rigid alliances, and the mechanization of death.